Hey, it's AK once again, coming at ya. We're talking about healthcare today. Healthcare system in Canada is pretty awesome. In America, it seems like it's very expensive, but a lot of people say the doctors are better. Hard to say. Canada, it's very, in my city anyway, it's like the hospitals are packed. The hospital, which is confusing too, because we used to have two and now we have one that has lots of like millions of dollars worth of architecture and artistic design, but less beds than the two hospitals that we had before. Very confusing. However, because of limited funds all the time, we have a packed house, and doctors are few and far between. We need more and more, but our city is focusing on that aspect. Like the Health Science Center is very important here in T-Bay. But healthcare across the board is still very confusing to lots of people because there's a segregation between Western medicine and holistic healing, like ancient Eastern practices. And we are like at a point where it's like, okay guys, come on, like we can't charge extra money for energy healing and chiropractic work and all that stuff that is clearly beneficial to people. It has to amalgamate, it has to come together, it has to be one and the same. The healthcare system needs to provide all forms of healthcare for free everywhere. Like, people deserve to be healthy. I get it, like we end up with a lot of like repeat incidences in our hospital of like drunken accidents. There's a lot of drinkers in the city. A lot of people who, like I said, are repeat customers, if you will, at the hospital. And that is another topic, because the only reason we have such substance use is because of like generations of genocide and oppression and residential schools and such. We have to deal with that in a logical fashion, and by continuously using a money system that segregates people, will never fix those problems. It's going to be patchwork from here on in. So the healthcare system is somewhere where we can actually start. We could start providing people with open source information and places to come learn how to help provide people with just an ear. Bringing psychology into the healthcare system. Not psychiatry, there's a difference. We got to veer away from giving people prescription pills and start learning how to listen to them. Because the human being actually knows its body better than its counterpart. The doctor doesn't know you as well as you do. You know what you're feeling. Yes, the doctor can scan your body and look inside of you, and he knows or she knows what could take place if you continuously use your body the way you're using it, or abuse your body the way you're abusing it. And they are very intelligent people, but you, and only you, know about the feelings that rise within you. So, in some fashion or another, we need to bring all forms of healthcare together in multiple buildings, like not all at the Health Science Center in my community or in the one hospital that exists in other small communities, but in all buildings that provide social services. Social services should be a form of healthcare. They should understand that by keeping ourselves socially healthy, we continuously grow as a culture. I was just at the bank. Not a place I love to go, considering I'm not a huge moneymaker. Yet, like I said in previous podcasts, I'm trying to figure out how to find altruism in ambition. It's a hard thing to do, because those two words don't typically go together, but we're going to have to make them in this day and age. But being at the bank, a woman who has children that go to the same school as mine was my cashier, or I don't know if they're called that, bank teller. And she started talking to me about stuff that had nothing to do with my banking. And then she apologized, to which I replied, no need for apology, man. This is what it's all about. It's about socializing. It's about getting to know one another. It's about sharing information and laughing at things and poking fun at one another. If we don't do these things, then we become very unhealthy in our minds. And It's hard to have a healthy body when you have an unhealthy mind. We need to connect with one another. And the more we hide out, like myself, hiding in my basement doing my podcast, the less we reach out and socialize with those that we could potentially become very close with. I've realized that being a video editor in the last 10 years that, I go out to the shows, I film bands, I film weddings or corporate videos or whatever it is, and I interact, I do what I have to do, make a face, and then I come back to my house and I get hunkered in and I start editing away. And like some things, the stuff I enjoy doing takes years. The stuff I get paid for, it still takes me a long time, but then by the time I get out from my dark corner in the dungeon of my basement, I usually forget how to talk to people, and I have to kind of reintegrate every single time, and it's a very complicated thing for me to do, and a lot of people probably think that I'm just rude or judgmental, which I've mentioned I have become judgmental, especially taking a look at a lot of the crap that's going on the planet today. Trying to focus on the positive, though, I tend to turn it into just being a cynical a-hole. But some people know how to laugh at that. Other people just roll their eyes at me. And that's healthy for me. However, what's unhealthy for me is knowing that we have all these amazing forms of healing that are available, but cost extra money because Western culture or the current systems within Western culture don't allow our healthcare monies to be allocated in those areas. For instance, like vitamin C and vitamin K intravenous. We now know for a long time that it cures many forms of cancer, but it's an extra bill. The hospital won't provide it for you. Why? I don't know. Maybe we have so much money tied into chemo and all of these other drugs that, the pharmaceuticals that are not really good for the human condition. And we're stuck in that cycle. So the monies just aren't going in the right spots. But this is our healthcare system today. Food is another big thing. If we eat the proper foods, then our bodies function in the cycles that they're meant to function in. I'm horrible when it comes to food. I've transformed over the years because of my mother, because of people in close quarters to me who choose to eat very healthy and are very cautious about the types of foods they put in their body. Typically, most smart people know, fresh produce, the organic kind is the best. The stuff right out of your garden is the ultimate best. And live range meat, the stuff right off the land. Not, cows that have been fed with hormones and antibiotics and, living a poor life and then massacred and crunched up and sold through the grocery stores. No, people who actually live off the land and who are hunting, and only to their means, not for sport, only to feed their families, and through respect of their connection with the greater beings, that being, planet Earth, the mother goddess Gaia, if you will. There are many names, but it's universal, and we are becoming consciously aware that we have to stay connected. We have to respect the resources, the waters, the air, the earth. We have to fall in cycle once again. And we're essentially at the precipice. We're essentially at the turning point. And some people are hesitant, whereas I seem to meet a lot of people who are making the journey. They're turning the corner. They're saying it's time to live healthy and holistically. And that is inspiring to someone like me, especially someone who has been so cynical for the last, decade maybe. It's been very unhealthy. And I've been in and out of the healthcare system in many fashions. I've talked to psychiatrists or psychologists, if you will. I've seen doctors. I've talked to food specialists. I've went to natural healers. I've utilized our system in many forms, and no matter what, you find flaws. But that's the same in all industries. You always find flaws, and we always will. We're never going to have a perfect system, but we can have a much better system. And the ideas are available on the internet. We can very easily sit down on our computer, start typing on our keyboard, click on a few things, and find very hopeful ideas. You just got to ask for it. Like it's been said, ask and you shall receive. The Intertron has everything. So if you want to focus on all the negativity on the internet, go right ahead. If you're listening to only the negative aspects of my podcast, then unfortunately, that's unhealthy. And I'm sorry to say that. This has been pretty low in the vibratory scale, this particular podcast. But to make it more positive, we have to realize that the only caretaker of our body is us. Each individual takes care of their own body. And I know how hard it can be to make the changes that are necessary, but each of us has to choose when we make those changes. To go back on priding my mom for all of her healthy hints, I will talk about some of the stuff that has changed my life. One in particular is the Ninja smoothie machine. I love it, man. I take up all our old vegetables and fruits after every dinner, even the fresh vegetables and fruits out of the fridge in the mornings, usually fruit in the morning. At nighttime we have leftover veggies, so I always throw them in there, blend them all up, and make a smoothie. It's really beneficial to your body, plus you don't have waste. I mean, in my yard, most of the people in my family garden, so there's never really waste when it comes to produce. We always just either throw it in the garden if we don't throw it in the smoothie machine. But it's unbelievably healthy to just take all those leftover veggies and fruits, even skins, peels, not all of the peels, obviously. Some of them are a little tough and you don't want to eat them. You're not supposed to eat them. But the ones that are obvious, and blend them all up and make a nice smooth drink. Add some yogurt. Some people like coconut milk. Back to my mom again. She has all kinds of herbs and I guess concentrated vitamins that make you feel amazing. I go to her house and I put this little mushroom powder and some vitamin C and some stuff called Immunical into a shaker, shake it all up, add some water, drink probably about 12 ounces of it, and I'm flying for about 3.5 hours, and it's pure energy, it's clean, there's no toxins involved, it's so good for you. But that's usually after a long bender. And when I say bender, I don't just mean drinking and doing drugs. I mean, eating badly, going to fast food restaurants, ordering pizzas, lots of chips and pop. And I've gotten better in the last few years, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, that I'm trying to clean myself up. I'm trying to limit my alcohol intake, and I've cut down my pot intake 90%. And it clears my mind. It makes me feel more ambitious. It makes me want to do things. And don't get me wrong, lots of people can have those substances in their bodies and still accomplish everything they want to accomplish. Me personally, I can't. Maybe I have a weaker immune system, I don't know. But once I hit rock bottom, and this has happened probably 3 dozen times in my life, I turned to detoxing and all the healthy foods that my mom provides for all of her children. And it's pretty amazing to realize that you can, shift back to a healthy standing. Another thing that she pushes on me, it's disgusting, but I love it because it actually does make you feel better. The first time, every time I start all over, it kills me, especially if I drink it too fast, but apple cider vinegar. It alkalizes your body, and I guess the idea is that all diseases, or most diseases that we're familiar with today, form in an acidic body. And to alkalize your body, you can essentially eliminate disease, even cancer. But you don't have to listen to me. All of the ideas are out there. People are providing the information all over the internet. We're just trophies for system jumping. That's a quote from a pretty rock and roll band from Australia. But we need to have this happen. Some people want to, roll back time, and they want to hang on to the idea because they're scared of what comes next. The more we open the consciousness of the human condition, the more fears will be let in. However, if we can't learn to embrace the dark, then we'll never project the light. So it's important to know that we draw it near. Any fear that you can potentially bring to the table is going to be a fear of your innermost darkness. All your frustrations, all the unhealthy words and thoughts that we embody and we project are of fear. They are of a dark, hollow emptiness within. And in order to repair that emptiness, it's important to embrace the things that you love. One of the healthiest boosters, if you will, of serotonin, of a chemical within your body that, gives you energy and motivation, comes from human connection. Simply giving someone you love a hug, that can change their day, transform their world. Healthcare doesn't only happen in a hospital. It happens in day-to-day connection, in the simple action of looking someone in the eyes, connecting with them, knowing that they are very similar to you as an individual. And there is always going to be some sort of connection that we aren't making with one another. Me, myself, I reach out and try to connect with old friends and family members who I have, in the past decade of my life, kind of slipped away from, in a lot of cases, maybe pushed them away because of my own fears and my own frustrations. So now I'm trying to go back on that, and I'm trying to reach out and, find a place in their reality, because I do love those people. And because of a recent break in a friendship of mine, a real close friendship of mine, I've realized that no matter what the situation, if I want to have a healthy state of mind, I have to be honest. I may be the reason for ending that friendship, and I truthfully hope it's not over, but I'm waiting for reciprocity. And until face is made, the health of that relationship may not blossom. So I've done what I can do, and until then, I'm waiting for you. So in knowing that I have the ability to create or destroy any relationship, any team, any creation that I'm participating in, shows me that I need to take responsibility for myself and my own actions. If I'm not honest with you, therefore, if I'm not honest with you, I can't look you in the face. If I can't look you in the face, I can't be comfortable with you. This is unhealthy to me. This is something that comes from a feeling of unity, of a honorable community. And in our current structure, the healthcare that is provided based on a paycheck, not on the absolute need and care of the next individual. So, as you've probably realized throughout the past few podcasts, if you're listening from the beginning, I like to bring everything back to myself and blame myself for everything that has gone wrong. And in some cases, it may sound like I'm accusing you as well, the listener. However, it's clearly not our fault as individuals for the state of the world today. But if we are living in fear, and we are frustrated with our own well-being, and we can't look others in the eyes, it's because we haven't conquered our own fears. And the only way to do that is to understand what it is first that you're scared of, and then find out what it is that you live for. What do you love? Who do you love? And now, what can you do with that knowledge, that understanding? What am I capable of? Myself, I know how to record things. I'm a broadcasting graduate. I know how to broadcast things. I love the world that I live in and all of the people who treat others kindly. So what do? I take my innermost fears and I project them onto the internet for you to hear. I'm not looking for fortune or fame. I mean, I would appreciate it if you subscribed to my account and, I could potentially make a little bit of money because I am a very unwealthy broadcaster, but I'm fine with it. I'm used to living in poverty. Don't get me wrong, it's super stressful, and I have to maintain an illusion of normalcy so that my children and the people around me don't realize the amount of stress that is on my family. But stressors come in many fashions, and currently my biggest stress is money, which is going to be the topic of our next podcast. So I hope you're living a healthy life. I know I don't provide you with, endless information of how to be healthy, but if you really want to be, you'll seek out the information on your own. Thanks for listening to AudioVision. I hope you're enjoying your day.